Tonight, I'm sharing the creepiest true story I've ever experienced. A story that still haunts me. A story that'll make you question what's really lurking in your house when the clock strikes 3 a.m. Have you ever had something unexplainable happen in the dead of night? Drop a comment below, because trust me, you're gonna relate to this one. Let's dive in. Picture this. A small, creaky old house on the edge of a quiet town. The kind of place where the trees lean a little too close to the windows, their branches scraping the glass when the wind howls. That's where I lived when it all started. My name's Alexa, and I'm just a regular person, not some ghost hunter or psychic. I'm like you, someone who loves a good scary story, but never thought I'd be living one. I moved into this house about a year ago. It was a steal. Way cheaper than it should have been for a place with hardwood floors and a big backyard, and the real estate agent was nice, but she rushed through the tour, like she couldn't wait to leave. I should have noticed that. I should have asked why the previous owners left so fast, but I was too excited, you know? New house, new start. I had no idea what I was walking into. The first few weeks were fine. I was busy unpacking boxes, painting walls, making the place my own. Sure, the house had its quirks. Doors that creaked, floors that groaned underfoot. A faint musty smell in the basement. Old houses are like that, right? But there was something else. Something I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was like the air in the house was heavy, like it was holding its breath, waiting for something. It was a Tuesday night, I think. I'd been up late binge-watching some true crime show. Ironic, right? And I crashed around midnight. My bedroom's upstairs, right across from the living room where the TV is. It's one of those old boxy TVs, not a fancy flat screen with buttons that click when you press them. I'd unplugged it that night because the outlet was sparking a little. Safety first, you know. Anyway, I'm dead asleep, dreaming about something I can't even remember, when bzzzt. This loud, staticky hum jerks me awake. My eyes snap open, and my room's glowing with this eerie blue light. I'm frozen, just lying there, heart pounding like a drum. I glance at my phone. 3:02 a.m. The house is dead quiet except for that hum. I'm thinking, did I leave the TV on? No way. I unplugged it, but there's no mistaking that sound. It's the TV. I force myself out of bed, legs shaky, and creep toward the door. The hallway's dark, and every step makes the floor creak like it's screaming. I peek into the living room, and there it is. The TV's on, blasting static. Just white noise and flickering snow like something out of an old horror movie. My stomach drops. I'm thinking, this can't be real. I check the plug. It's still unplugged. I'm not kidding, guys. The TV's on, and it's not even connected to power. I mash the power button, but nothing happens. The static keeps hissing, louder now, like it's angry. I'm freaking out, yanking the plug from the wall again, double-checking. It's loose. Finally, I rip the cord out of the TV itself. The screen goes black. Silence. I stand there, panting, staring at this dead TV, waiting for it to do something else. But it doesn't. It's just off. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I kept my bedroom door locked and my phone clutched in my hand, Googling TV turns on by itself. Most of the results were boring. Faulty remotes, power surges, timers. None of that fit. My TV was unplugged. There was no rational explanation. I told myself it was a one-time thing, a fluke. Maybe the TV had some weird battery or something. I even laughed it off when I told my friend Sarah about it. She's into spooky stuff, and she was like, "Dude, that's haunted. You've got a ghost." I rolled my eyes, but deep down, I wasn't so sure. Then it happened again. The next night, 3 a.m. on the dot. That same electric hum, that same blue glow spilling into my room. I'm not ashamed to admit I stayed in bed that time. covers pulled up to my chin like a kid scared of the boogeyman. I just stared at the door, listening to the static crackle and hiss. It went on for maybe 10 minutes, then stopped. When I finally worked up the nerve to check, the TV was off, unplugged, just like before. By the third night, I was a wreck. I hadn't slept properly and I was jumping at every sound. I set up my phone to record the living room, thinking I'd catch whatever was doing this. Sure enough, at 3 a.m., the TV flicked on. I watched the footage the next morning, hands shaking as I hit play. There it was, the screen lighting up, static, roaring, all while the plug dangled uselessly from the outlet. But there was something else. In the corner of the frame, just for a split second, I swear I saw a shadow move. Not like a person, but something. It was too fast to be sure, but it made my skin crawl. I couldn't ignore it anymore. Something was wrong with this house. I started asking around, talking to neighbors, digging into the property records. Turns out, the house had a history. The previous owners, a young couple, left after less than a year. Before them, an old man lived there alone. He died in the house, in the living room, right in front of the TV. The neighbors didn't like talking about it, but one lady, Mrs. Carter, whispered that the old man was troubled. She wouldn't say more, just crossed herself and walked away. I went to the library, pulling up old newspapers on microfiche. Yeah, I went full detective mode. There wasn't much, but I found an obituary from 1998. The old man, Harold Grayson, was 78 when he passed. Heart attack, the paper said. But there was a tiny article from a few years earlier about a fire in the house. Harold survived, but his wife didn't. The fire started in the living room. No cause was ever found. My head was spinning. Was Harold still here? Was his wife? Or something else? I started researching hauntings, residual energy, all that paranormal stuff. Some sites said 3 a.m. is the witching hour, when the veil between the living and the dead is thinnest. I didn't know what to believe, but every night, like clockwork, that TV came on. It wasn't just the TV anymore. Things started moving. My keys would be on the kitchen counter 1 minute, then gone the next. I'd find them in weird places, like under the couch or in the basement. One night, I heard footsteps upstairs while I was in the living room. Slow, heavy steps, like someone pacing. I was alone in the house. The worst was the whispers. I'd be lying in bed trying to ignore the TV's static when I'd hear it. A low, raspy murmur like someone talking just out of earshot. I could never make out the words, but it felt personal, like it was meant for me. I started sleeping with the lights on, but it didn't help. The air in the house was colder now, even with the heat cranked up. My breath would fog in the living room, right where the TV sat. I tried everything. I had an electrician check the wiring. Nothing wrong. I bought a new TV thinking the old one was cursed. Didn't matter. The new one turned on at 3 a.m. too. I even called a priest to bless the house. He was nice, but I could tell he didn't believe me. The blessings didn't stop it. If anything, it got worse. I was at my breaking point. I hadn't slept in days, and I was seeing things, shadows in the corners, shapes in the static. One night, I decided I'd had enough. I was going to confront whatever this was. I set up my phone to record, grabbed a flashlight, and sat in the living room at 2:55 a.m. waiting. The clock hit 3:00. Right on cue, the TV snapped on. The static was deafening, like 1,000 voices screaming at once. I stood up, shouting, "Who are you? What do you want?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the noise. The air turned ice cold, and the smell hit me. Something sharp, like burnt wires and decay. I aimed my flashlight at the TV, and that's when I saw it. In the static, there was a face. Not clear, but unmistakable. Hollow eyes, a gaping mouth, pressed against the screen like it was trying to push through. My legs gave out, and I hit the floor, crawling backward as the static grew louder, the face sharper. It wasn't Harold. It wasn't human. It was something else. Something angry. The whispers came back, clear this time. You shouldn't be here. I don't know how I got out of that room. I just remember running, slamming the door behind me, and driving to Sarah's house in my pajamas. I didn't go back for a week. When I did, the TV was off, the house quiet. But I knew it wasn't over. I moved out a month later. I couldn't stay. The new place is fine. No creepy TVs, no 3 a.m. wake-ups. But I still dream about that house, about that face in the static. I showed the footage to Sarah, but the shadow and the face didn't show up. Just static. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe I was sleep-deprived, stressed, imagining things. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I did some more digging before I left. Turns out the land the house was built on used to be a burial ground. Not Native American, like in the movies, but an old family plot from the 1800s. The records were spotty, but there were stories of disturbances in the area. People hearing voices, seeing shadows. One article even mentioned a fire in the 1920s that burned down the original house. No one knew how it started. I don't have answers. I don't know if it was Harold, his wife, or something older, something tied to the land. All I know is that every night, at 3 a.m., that TV came to life, and it wasn't just a glitch. So, there you have it, the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. If this story creeped you out, smash that like button and subscribe for more true horror stories. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? Maybe your TV's acted weird, or you've heard whispers in the night. Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. Stay spooky and maybe unplug your TV tonight, just in case.